Have you ever woken up in the morning with a heavy feeling in your heart, like something unseen is clouding your path, something within yourself? Have you ever doubted your own abilities, even in things you've always excelled at? Those feelings of insecurity, those thoughts that gnaw at our confidence, these are often the greatest obstacles, unseen by us. It's not just about fate or external things beyond our control. It's about what we carry within our own minds. If you're listening right now and thinking, yes, that's exactly my problem, you're not alone. And before we dive deeper into the details, if you, our listeners, don't want to miss out on valuable content like this in future episodes, don't forget to subscribe to our Think and Rebound channel. Today, we're going to talk about something we all face, self-doubt, an obstacle often hidden in the dark corners of our minds. We'll explore how Stoic Vision can help us see this unseen obstacle and empower our beliefs. First, we'd like to inform our listeners that the stories and individuals we will be featuring are fictional names created solely for illustrative purposes and do not refer to any real persons. Let's start with the story of Elijah, a young man from the countryside who dreamed of becoming an innovative inventor. He didn't seek wealth, but wanted to create things that would improve people's lives. Elijah was creative and highly determined. He spent years studying, researching, and experimenting, even facing repeated failures. He used a small basement in his house as his laboratory. Dim lights and scraps of materials he could find were a familiar sight every night. But as time passed, progress was slow. Failure began to form clouds of doubt in his mind. Many of his peers began to succeed in other fields. Some got good jobs, some received scholarships to study abroad. Then these thoughts began to surface in his head. Am I wasting my time? Am I truly capable enough? So many others are doing much better than me. Have you, our listeners, ever felt this way? When we see others around us succeed while we're still struggling, doubt often takes hold of our minds. Elijah began to distance himself from friends, feeling ashamed to explain that he was still bogged down in unprogressing experiments. He feared judgment. He started to hesitate investing in new equipment or even sharing his new ideas, fearing he would fail again. This doubt didn't make him stop, but it made moving forward difficult and full of uncertainty. The turning point came when Elijah stumbled upon an old book on Stoic philosophy. He began to read and find that these ideas resonated with what he was facing. One principle that deeply resonated with him was distinguishing between what he could and could not control. He realized that what he could control was his effort, his learning, and his attitude towards failure. What he couldn't control were immediate results, what others said, or the success of his friends. He began to shift his focus from dwelling on the anxiety of, will what I'm doing succeed, to what can I do best today? Elijah began to document small, daily progress, not just major successes, but also learning from mistakes. He started talking to his friends again, not to compare, but to exchange knowledge and experiences. When negative thoughts arose, he would pause and ask himself, is this thought within my control? How will I respond to it? This is what Stoic philosophy calls reflection or examining thoughts. Of course, this change didn't happen overnight. There were still days when he felt discouraged, days when experiments failed repeatedly, almost causing him to give up. One time, his prototype exploded slightly, making the basement messy, and he suffered a minor hand injury. He almost gave up on all his dreams, feeling he wasn't worthy of them. But in the end, he remembered the Stoic principle that defeat is an opportunity to learn. He used his recovery time to read more books about other great inventors who also faced countless failures. Learning from the experiences of others helped him gain a broader perspective and realize that obstacles are part of the journey, not the end. Elijah returned to work with a deeper understanding. He began to refine his ideas more rationally and prioritize the process over the final outcome. Finally, after countless efforts and learning, Elijah succeeded in inventing a device that helped farmers manage water more efficiently. His device didn't change the world overnight, but it improved his community, and most importantly, he regained his self-confidence. Elijah's story shows that the true obstacles are often not external, but the doubts we create within our own minds. And it's not just Elijah. Many others have used similar concepts to overcome life's challenges. For instance, Clara used to be so afraid of public speaking that she barely dared to express her opinions in meetings. She knew it was a significant obstacle to her career growth. She began to study concepts about accepting imperfection and distinguishing what she could control. She couldn't control what others thought of her, but she could control her preparation, her practice, and her choice to speak courageously. Clara started by practicing speaking in front of a mirror, then began presenting in small groups, gradually increasing the audience size. Even though she still felt some nervousness, she learned not to let that nervousness stop her from doing what was important. Another example is Frederick, an elderly man who had to adapt to new technologies after retirement. He used to feel he was too old to learn new things. He began to feel isolated because he couldn't communicate with his grandchildren through online channels. Frederick applied the idea of focusing on actions within his control. He couldn't make himself younger, but he could choose to learn little by little. He enrolled in simple online courses about using smartphones and social media. He took his time to study patiently without pressuring himself. And eventually, he could video call his grandchildren fluently. The doubt of, "Can I do this?" was replaced by pride. From the stories of Elijah, Clara, and Frederick, we can see how Stoic Vision helps us see and overcome unseen obstacles. It's not about ignoring problems, but about changing the way we perceive them. Distinguishing between what we can and cannot control, prioritizing our actions instead of dwelling on outcomes we cannot control. Learning from failures and strengthening self-belief through consistent action. These are the keys to conquering doubt and unlocking our true potential. So, if you're facing self-doubt today, we challenge you to choose just one small thing from the concepts we've discussed today. Perhaps it's questioning your own negative thoughts or focusing on the effort you can control instead of worrying about the outcome. Whatever it may be, start acting immediately, because the smallest first step often leads to the greatest changes. Then you will find that those unseen obstacles are not as daunting as you thought. Thank you for listening to Think and Rebound today. See you in the next episode.